Okay, so we're back in the tool set now, and we're going to talk about the last thing, and that is, well, almost the last thing, that is the loot tables. Now, you can have traditional treasure tables where you can have a variety of items appear, and in a chest, for example, and they can be randomly chosen from a table. So what you do is you select, the chest or creature or whatever you want to generate items on, and you'll have a few items prepared. You'll fire up the loot plugin on it. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to first create our loot tables, and they're called database item groups in the loot plugin. So we're going to select this. Now we don't have any tables created at all yet, so there's nothing in here. The first thing you have to do is give your group of items a name. And you can call it anything you want, pretty much. So we're just going to call this, Low Dungeon 1 is the name of this group of items. And we're going to select some items from it. So let's just say dagger +1, and we'll add, and then we'll add, a short sword +1, add, and then maybe, a ruby, add. So as you can see, our low dungeon group here has 3 items in it. We're going to create a second group, and this one is going to be called Low Dungeon 2. And in Low Dungeon 2, we're going to have, say an acid flask, add, and we're going to have, let's just throw anything in here, a club +1. And maybe a long sword, or a longbow +1. There we go. So now we've got ourselves 2 loot groups, and these are basically 2 unique loot tables. So we got Low Dungeon 1, which has these 3 items in it, and Low Dungeon 2, which has these 3 items in it. If I want to see all of them, I just clear that out. It'll show me them all. If I want to create a new one, I just change this loot group name to something else and add an item, and it'll automatically create one. But here's the 2 groups. So now the question is how do we use these? How do we use these tables of a variety of items? So we'll finish this, and we'll edit our chest spawn point here. And we're going to select the loot item type of database group, noting that our dynamic weapon is still going to be generated in this chest. This is just an additional item type that we can have. In our database group, we can choose one of the 2 tables that we created. So if we want something from the Low Dungeon 1 group, we'd select that one. And then we can say, well, we want, 1 at 100% to spawn. Table quantity means how many times we should pull items from this Low Dungeon 1 group. If we leave this blank or we put 1 in here, what's going to happen is when the loot system generates this item, it's going to go into the Low Dungeon 1 group, select 1 item from it, and then create 1 quantity of it 100% of the time. If we change this to 2, what's going to happen is it's going to first choose 1 item from the Low Dungeon 1 group, create 1 of them 100% of the time, and then it's going to go in and choose a second one. It could be the same thing again, it could be a different one, we don't know. But it's going to randomly select a second one, and it's going to create 1 of them at 100% chance of the time. So this is how many items from the table we want to choose. Now I can mix this up a bit. I can have, I can have this set to 2 and quantity of 1 and 1 and add this, and then I can have another one with a quantity of like 3 or 4 and 5 at like 50%, and have that 1. I can do all kinds of things like that and add that in. So you get the idea on how I can make some interesting varieties appear using this. So it's pretty straightforward. There's not much more to it than that. It's just loot tables that you can create and use in your loot as well. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm not going to finish. What I'm going to do now is, because that was so straightforward and pretty quick, I'm going to talk about these common settings, and then we'll demonstrate them. The common settings control how often the loot system should create loot in things. Now with creatures, it's pretty easy. With creatures, it's basically you kill the creature, he dies, you loot it, and it's done. It's just usually a one-shot deal. Placeables, on the other hand, they can be a little bit trickier because they can stick around, somebody could bash it, it could respawn, and you may or may not want to have that kind of behavior. So this is where you can kind of configure that stuff. It's fairly straightforward, but I will describe what each option means. The default option is once per spawn, one player only. Now, what this means is that in my chest, once it spawns, one player and one player only can come along and loot and gain this weapon and this low dungeon item and keep it, and that's it. It will never appear again, not for any other players. If a second player comes along and tries to open the chest, it'll be empty. And sometimes that's what you want. However, if someone bashes the chest, or you despawn the chest or get rid of the chest in some way and respawn it again later, it resets this, and another player or the same player can come along and loot it again. If you don't want that behavior, say if you want it, once per server reset, for example, I want these things to appear in here. What you can do is just make the chest plot, not destroyable or something like that. Or make it destroyable, just make it so it doesn't respawn, which the spawn plugin can do. It can spawn something only once per server reset, so you can do that. And then you'll get the once per reset kind of thing, and only one player. However, you may have a desire to have loot appear in a chest on a per player basis. So the same kind of idea, but each player will get to loot the chest and get some loot out of it, even if it was, bashed or not, or if the server was reset or not, it doesn't matter. Each unique individual will get to come along and loot the chest. That option is this one, once per player per spawn. So each time the chest spawns, each player is allowed to loot it. So if two players are standing next to the chest, one guy opens it, gets a few things out. The second guy is standing there. He opens it. He'll get some stuff out of it. That's what this option means. Okay, once per player per spawn versus once per spawn, one player only. Now, you may have a desire that a person can only loot the chest once ever. So if you've got a chest in a dungeon or a chest somewhere in town or something, and you want a player to come along, loot that chest, and then no one else can ever loot it again, even if the server resets or even if it's respawned, whatever, only can be looted once, period. It could be useful on a big dragon or something like that. You don't want you want users going in and repeating the loot and getting it, hordes of it over and over and over again. You can click this checkbox, lootable once only ever. If you check this on, you'll notice that these options change. This checkbox means now, or this radio box now means once ever, one player only. So if you have a dragon that has loot that's unique to your world, maybe it's for a plot or something, or part of the storyline, and there's only one of this thing that's in this dragon's treasure chest, and the first player to come along and defeat him will get this item, and no one else will ever get it, even if the server resets. That's what'll happen with this kind of arrangement here when you have these checked like this. However, if you want each player in your world to be able to loot this one item once, you can choose this, once per player ever. So you could have a group of 5 guys come along, defeat the dragon, and each of the 5 guys are able to loot the dragon's chest. They'll all gain their loot, but that's it. If they come down and defeat the dragon again, they get the thrill of defeating the dragon, but they're not going to get all the big treasure that he has a second time. So that's what this means. Even if the server resets or the chest despawns or spash and respawns, they're still not going to be able to. That's what this checkbox does. It just makes it a once-only thing. And it could be on a per-player level, or it could be one player only. So that's what these are. So we're going to demonstrate those. So I'm going to set this to, let's say, 1 per player per spawn. So that means 2 people will be able to loot the chest and get their own loot out of it. So we're going to hit finish and quit, and I'm going to fire this up in game and demonstrate that and go from there. So we'll see you in game in a second. Alright, so we're back in game and we're going to be demonstrating the looting of this chest. I've got
Raven here with me. Say hi.
Hi.
And she's going to help me demonstrate the multiplayer part of looting this chest. So if we remember from the tool set, this chest is currently configured so that multiple people can loot it and get something out of it, and then if the chest should respawn or the server should reset, we should be able to loot it again. So you can go ahead, Raven, and loot it
Okay.
up.
Okay, I'm getting 3 objects from there. Uh, 2 daggers and a war axe.
Okay, go ahead and take it out. Make sure you got it all.
Got it?
Okay, and now I'm going to loot it, and I got 3 items. I got 2 daggers, but I got a katana as well. So I'm going to loot all that. Make sure I got it. Yep. So now that's to show how each person can get loot out of a chest. So now if I open it again, I get nothing else. Go ahead and
Nope,
anything?
nothing.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show that we can't loot it right now anymore until the server's reset or if this chest respawns. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bash this chest because it's going to
Nope.
respawn.
Okay.
And yeah, so you can go ahead and you're a barbarian, are you? Is that what you are?
I am.
So
Mm-hmm.
you can do your
Yep.
barbarian rage and then just do a bash. I can't hurt it very much.
My goodness,
What
I
are you
keep
doing?
opening it.
Oh, you're using the wrong mouse button, that's why.
Yeah. There we go.
Maybe I should cast a spell at it. It's a tough chest. Oh, look, there
Ah,
you
I
go.
got
You
it.
got it. So it'll go pop in a sec. There it goes. Now we just have to kind of sit around. I don't remember what I set the spawner for this chest because it's funny, the last video that I did where I set these chests down, it's been several days since I did that video, so I don't remember. I think it's either 1 minute or 2 minutes for this chest, so we can, I don't know, go kill a kobold or something
Okay.
while we wait. I guess I should see if I can, or is that going to be a waste? Oh, oh,
Oh, I got it.
did you get him?
I did.
I think I hit him, but I'm not sure. I think I was too far away to see your, I don't even know if I can see yours. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Look at you
Okay.
go. Yeah. Is it back yet? No, not back yet. And yeah, these guys should still be dropping loot. Of course, because these are creatures, each person can't loot the loot bag more than once. So
Oh,
creatures... Oh, he killed you.
he did.
Uh, that's great.
Oops.
As I was saying, yeah,
There we go.
even though so the multiple player generating their own loot doesn't really apply to creatures because they only really generate loot once when they die or when they spawn, depending on the configuration option. Um, so controlling how often a person can loot really only applies to placeable objects like these chests. That's the other one. So it should be popping up here any second. Come on, chest. I think it's going to pop right around where you are.
Okay.
We should do like a walkthrough or a let's play of the Legends Persistent World.
Oh, yeah.
Do some quests and stuff. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
There it is. Oh, it was right next to me.
Oh,
Okay, so now because of the way the chest is set up, um, you should be able to loot it again, and so should I. So go ahead and see if you get 3 more things.
I did. I got a ruby, a short sword, and um, another sword.
Okay, so grab all that, make sure it's empty,
Okay. Did it?
and I should be able to get 3 new items. Yeah, I got a ruby, a dagger, and a great axe. And that's it. We can keep respawning this over and over and over and keep getting loot each time it spawns or each time the server resets. Again, if you don't want that kind of behavior, if you just want, you know, each person to be able to loot it once, um, you know, just make it plot or something so you can't bash it, or make it so that they can bash it, just don't respawn it, and then you can have it, you know, once per server reset. But what we're going to do next is I'm going to go back to the tool set real quick, and I'm going to do it off camera and make a configuration change to this one and make it so that only one person can loot it per respawn, and the second person cannot get any loot out of it. So I'll make that change, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back in game, back here with Raven, and I made a change to this to the configuration on this chest spawn point, and set the option to loot once per spawn, but one player only. So you know, each time this chest will spawn or the server resets, only one person will be able to loot it, no matter who it is. So Raven, you can go ahead and loot whatever's in there. Let me know what you got.
I got a sword, dagger, and another sword.
Okay, so now I shouldn't get anything when I try and loot it. And there you go, it's empty. So that's the behavior of the other option. Now, of course, if we bash this chest and get it to respawn, and if you don't want that behavior, again, just set it to plot or don't respawn it. Or the server resets, one person, again, can come along and loot whatever's in there, and other people can't. You know, but you can share the loot or whatever. But point being is it'll only spawn loot once. Now, if we want this chest to only spawn loot once per, you know, forever for each person, we can set that checkbox in the loot plugin as well. So that's it for the loot plugin, and yeah. So we're going to end the video here and move on to something else. Maybe we'll do that Let's Play of the Persistent World or something.
Okay.
Okay, say bye.
Bye.